Hi, I'm Lindsay Lang. I'm a Civitan, a nurse practitioner, and the mother of 3 children. I'm here to talk to you about my youngest son, Noah. He's 11 years old, really cute, really smart, and he's learning to play the trumpet. But he also has autism, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. What is autism? Autism is a complex neurodevelopmental disorder that's characterized by repetitive actions, repetitive speech, stereotypical behaviors, and difficulty making social contacts. It's thought that 1 in every 88 children has autism. It's usually more boys than girls. But I'm not here to tell you about that stuff. You can Google all that. What I want to tell you about is what it's like to live with a child with autism, and why it's so important that the Civitan International Research Center continue to do research on these types of disorders. My little Noah was born on July 4th, 2003. He was a C-section and had a little bit of trouble in labor, but nothing that they thought was serious. He was a cute little baby, really chubby cheeks, deep dimples. He was a good sleeper. By the time he was 3 months old, he was cooing and smiling at us. Everything a baby was supposed to do. But then by the time he was about 6 months old, I began to notice that something was wrong. He didn't look at us when we said his name. He didn't seem to really be interested in people at all. He didn't pay attention to anything that was going on around him. We thought maybe he was deaf, so we ended up having his hearing tested, and he was fine. I took him to the doctor. The doctor said, "Oh, he's just a late bloomer, don't worry about it." So time went on. Probably by the time he was 7, 8, 9 months, I was getting a little bit worried because he wasn't really sitting up by himself. He was making absolutely no attempts to crawl, and he still wasn't like other children in some ways. He didn't want to be cuddled, and he didn't really want to be held, especially when he was upset. He just wanted to be left alone and seemed happiest when he was left alone. That's not normal, I didn't think, so I took him back to the doctor, who said he was just a late bloomer and to quit worrying about it, but I was worried anyway. I started to investigate some agencies that might be able to help us. Indiana First Steps. They came out and evaluated him for some therapies, and he started in some. By the time he was a year old, he was getting speech therapy and physical therapy and occupational therapy because he wasn't able to crawl. He didn't stand on his own, wasn't trying to walk at all, and didn't talk either. He continued on in therapies for a while. I finally ignored my doctor, basically, and got Noah in to see a neurologist from Riley. He had to undergo tons of tests, an MRI and loads of blood tests, all of which looked pretty normal. She said he didn't have very good muscle tone, and he did have some features that resembled autism, but that wasn't really her area of expertise. I finally was able to get Noah in to see a developmental pediatrician who confirmed my suspicion, the suspicion I'd had for a long time, that he did have autism. We started in some therapy. We got involved with a great child psychologist whose area of expertise was autism. So he started doing therapy with him, monthly sessions. Time went on. He got into a developmental preschool by the time he was 3. He did pretty well there, although still had some issues of wanting to stay in his routine all the time. He didn't really seem to notice that there were other kids going to the school either. He didn't really make any attempts socially to talk to anybody, but he was learning, and he was really smart, we found out. And once he began to talk, he started doing the repetitive thing that sometimes kids with autism do. He'd repeat the same word or phrase over and over again, not just 5 times or 10 times, 100 times, 200 times. It was difficult to get him to stop, and sometimes we had to just leave the room or tell him we were finished talking about that, and it still wouldn't help. He still does that to this day sometimes, except it's usually an idea that he gets stuck on and he can't put it down or put it away. He went on to first grade. I was in a regular classroom, but it had a special ed teacher as well. And he did pretty well there. He still was having trouble potty training, so he wore pull-ups to school. He had to be reminded to go to the bathroom, and he was very regimented. He wanted everything done the same way every day. He had a bus that picked him up, and if there was a substitute bus driver, his day was ruined. And if that bus driver took a different route to school, his whole week was ruined. He didn't like to go places. Places like the grocery store or Home Depot or restaurants were out of the question with him. He would just cry, and we didn't know why. There were times that I thought, we're never going to get to go anywhere with this kid. But we also kept going places. We didn't let it stop us because we knew that he had to learn to cope somehow. I did order my groceries online, though, because it was a lot easier than getting all the stares and the angry looks from other people in the grocery store when my son was crying and yelling and thrashing around and screaming. People just didn't understand. So we kept going with the therapy, and that was going really well. Felt like we were making some progress. He did a social skills group where they learn things that are intuitive to most people, like when somebody says hello to you, you say hi back. When they smile, you smile. When somebody's frowning, that means they're angry. Those are things that Noah didn't understand. He had to learn that. He had to be taught specifically, and still sometimes he doesn't get it. He has a really hard time making friends and making conversation. But he went on with school, and now he's in middle school. He's in the 6th grade. Regular classes. He's really intelligent. He understands math, and his strong point is geography. Probably by the time he was in the 1st grade, he could name every state and its capital and point to it on a map. But even better than that, he knows most countries, continents, and their capitals as well. He's also good at reading maps, understands what direction he's pointed in and what exit we need to take. And believe me, if we take a wrong turn, we hear about it. For the most part, Noah's done great, but it's only because of all the therapy he's gotten and all the help from experts who know things, and they know things because research is being done. Noah's got a long way to go, but I have hope that maybe he'll someday be able to live on his own and function in society. Now, he still has problems. We still have to remind him to go to the restroom. He was up. Took him 3 hours to go to sleep just last night because he was worried about what would happen if he couldn't fall asleep. He worries a lot, and we're still working on that. But he's done great things. He got all A's and B's on his midterm this past week. And I know that's because of the help of all the doctors that we've been to see, our psychologists, the therapists, the great teachers, and they need education, and they need knowledge, and they need facts, and they need methods and things that they can use to help kids like Noah. Noah's high functioning. He's a lot better off than a lot of kids with autism. We're really blessed that way. That's why it's so important that you continue to support the Civitan International Research Center and all the work they do. They're working on robot-based skills for social interaction. They've got imaging for neurodevelopmental disorders. They're working on a lot of things. They've got the Civitan Sparks Autism Clinic where they do therapies and diagnostic evaluations. All of that stuff is so important. So I hope that you'll continue to help Civitan support the Civitan International Research Center and its devotion to finding answers for those on the autism spectrum. Thank you.